In a matter of minutes, a violent storm completely transformed the landscape of Sjang Kang in Koala Langa. What began as a sudden change in the sky turned into a catastrophe, leaving destruction, chaos, and fear among residents. The dense, deep gray clouds moved rapidly to completely cover the region, heralding a phenomenon of unusual proportions. The initial gusts hit with increasing intensity, raising dust, branches, and fragments of roofs. Residents barely had time to react when the wind turned into an unstoppable whirlwind that swept through streets and avenues with devastating force. In a matter of moments, entire structures collapsed under the force of the air currents. The phenomenon has been described as one of the most violent recorded in the area in recent years. Local experts have confirmed that the wind reached speeds comparable to those of a cyclone, with gusts capable of uprooting metal structures and destroying roofs in seconds. Among the worst affected areas was the Sjang Kang State Assembly Coordinator's office, building in Kampong, Maidentail, Panji, Magarang. The multi-story building suffered a partial collapse after being directly impacted by the wind, trapping several people beneath the debris. A 51-year-old woman was rescued after being buried in the wreckage. Emergency crews, supported by neighbors, worked tirelessly for several minutes to free her, eventually managing to stabilize her despite injuries to her waist and thigh. Nearby, a school was seriously damaged. The main roof was violently torn off, while parts of the walls collapsed onto classrooms where students were sitting. The chaos was immediate, and cries for help mingled with the roar of the collapsing structures. 9 students were injured by falling debris. Although the injuries were minor, the scene was shocking. Destroyed desks, dusty books, and glass shards scattered throughout the school. Teaching staff acted quickly, evacuating children to safe areas within the school complex. Education authorities have confirmed that SK Sjang Kang and SK Kampen schools are among the most affected. The roofs have been completely ripped off, and some classrooms have been reduced to ruins. The interior walls show deep cracks, while the hallways are covered in fragments of tiles and wood. The classrooms are unusable. The combination of rain and wind has left puddles and piles of debris, with unrecognizable school supplies under the mud. In some areas, the structure is swaying, forcing authorities to declare the facilities unsafe. The winds were so violent that several windows shattered simultaneously, generating a shower of glass that endangered those present. Teachers and students have had to take shelter behind desks and concrete walls to avoid further injuries. As the storm progressed, rescue teams began to mobilize. Firefighters arrived with heavy equipment to clear blocked roads and access the most vulnerable areas. Paramedics set up makeshift medical centers near the affected schools. The damage has quickly spread to commercial and residential areas. Numerous vehicles have been hit by flying debris, and the facades of shops and homes have been destroyed. Sheet metal and concrete fragments are scattered within a radius of several hundred meters. On social media, residents have shared shocking videos showing the exact moment a school roof was lifted off its feet and thrown into the air. The images demonstrate the violence of the storm, with the sky covered in a whirlwind of dust, rain, and flying objects. Emergency teams have confirmed the immediate evacuation of dozens of people. At least 36 people have been transferred to a temporary center in Mayu, where they remain under shelter while structural assessments continue. The situation remains critical, especially in outlying areas. Among the hardest hit areas are Mayu, Tamandia, Jalan Puing, Jalan Mod Sharif, and Satu, where the greatest damage to homes and basic services has been reported. Main roads remain blocked by fallen trees and infrastructure fragments. The Meteorological Department has issued a new thunderstorm warning that extends into the evening. The alert covers Koala Langa, Klang Sepang, Petaling Gombak, Hulu Slanger, and Sabak Burnham. Authorities have urged residents to stay indoors and avoid unnecessary travel. The urban landscape is bleak. Entire streets are covered with remains of roofs, bent poles, and fallen signs. In many neighborhoods, the power supply has been interrupted, complicating rescue and communication efforts. Local crews are working tirelessly to restore power and clear access routes. However, persistent rains have hampered progress. In some low-lying areas, water has accumulated, creating small puddles that hinder the passage of emergency vehicles. Despite the obstacles, rescuers continue their work. Crews are searching house by house for trapped or injured people, while other teams are focusing on securing damaged structures that could collapse. The magnitude of the disaster has left hundreds of families homeless. Many have lost their belongings and have had to seek shelter in emergency community centers. Survivors' testimonies reflect the fear they experienced during the minutes when the storm was raging at full force.
Totally tutup! Moto pun tak boleh pergi tau. Kenapa?
Meteorological experts have noted that these types of storms can develop rapidly when masses of warm, humid air converge with cold currents at altitude. This combination generates atmospheric instability capable of generating extremely violent winds. Ground transportation has also been affected. Several roads have been temporarily closed, and some bridges remain under review for possible structural damage. Emergency services urge caution and patience for those attempting to travel through the area. As night falls, the weather remains unstable. Frequent lightning and gusts are reported, keeping communities on alert. Residents have been urged to stay informed of possible new warnings. The material damage is extensive. Torn-off roofs, destroyed vehicles, downed power poles, and uprooted trees are part of the landscape of destruction left by the storm. However, authorities have confirmed that no fatalities have been reported so far. The number of affected people is expected to increase as surveys progress in more remote areas. Some rural areas remain isolated due to downed power lines and blocked secondary roads. The challenge now is recovery. Engineers and technical personnel have begun a structural assessment of the most damaged buildings to determine which can be repaired and which will require demolition. The work could extend for several days. Meteorologists warn that atmospheric conditions will remain unstable for at least another 24 hours. There is the possibility of further heavy rains and additional gusts that could worsen the situation. This episode highlights the region's vulnerability to extreme weather events. Ongoing investigations will attempt to clarify the exact causes of the event, its development, and the energy that fueled it. Meanwhile, Sjang Kang faces a night of uncertainty and reconstruction. The sound of the wind can still be heard in the distance, a reminder of the power with which nature has once again demonstrated its unpredictable strength.